You're about to enter a conversation almost almost no one's willing to have today. It's one that can make you uncomfortable, even angry. But if you stay, you might see something you've never seen before. Because today we're talking about the men everyone avoids, the incels. They've been dismissed as dangerous. They've been laughed at online. They've been blocked, muted, and ignored. But what if I told you that ignoring these men is a mistake? That behind the hateful forums and the bizarre lingo and behind the rage and the misogyny, that there's a tragedy so deep it should unsettle us all. That this isn't just about incels, it's about loneliness. It's about the collapse of intimacy and and it's about a culture that teaches men to measure their worth by what they can get from women and then blames them when they come up empty. Today I'm going to walk you through the real incel crisis, not just what's happening, but also the why. And we'll explore the emotional chain reaction that turns rejection into radicalization, and why no one's talking to these men, and how that silence feeds the problem. We'll talk a little bit about the critical missing links like integrity and intimacy, and how they can offer a way out. This is not a defense of hate. Instead, this is a warning. And if we don't start paying attention, we we may be raising a generation of men who believe they are unlovable and untouchable and unredeemable. But let's start with a question almost no one asks. Why don't we talk to incels? The simple answer, because it's easier not to. Because some of what they say is offensive, because because their pain gets buried under internet bile, because they've been painted with a broad brush as bitter and dangerous and hopeless. And honestly, because many of us don't know how to respond to male loneliness. But here's the deeper truth: we're scared of what it might reveal about us, about our culture, about our failure to raise emotionally literate boys, about our obsession with performance over presence, and about how easy it is to forget the ones who aren't winning. Incel forums are extreme, and there's no question about that, but they're also the only place many of these men feel that they belong. That that should stop us in our tracks. When when someone's only safe space is one that's built on despair, that's not a fringe problem. That's a mirror held up to society. So, how does someone how does someone become an incel? It doesn't usually begin in rage. It begins in rejection, repeated, confusing, invisible rejection. social rejection, familial rejection, romantic rejection. And over time, that rejection, it calcifies into something darker. And here's the emotional progression that we see over and over. This progression goes from hope, where they say something like, maybe I'll be loved if I try hard enough, and then moves on to rejection. And then they start saying things like, why does no one choose me? And this evolves into shame, where they say, there must be something wrong with me. And then there's the bitterness, where they say something like, they're all the same and no one wants someone like me. And this opens up into resentment, where they say, they're to blame for my suffering. And then the radicalization, of course, where they say, this world is rigged against me, burn it down. Notice that the turning point wasn't rage, it was shame. That inner voice that says, I'm unlovable, I'm defective, I'm broken. And because there's no emotional education there in place, because there's no relational tools offered, because there's no language for vulnerability, that shame, it festers until the only way to cope is by numbing or lashing out. This is the crisis beneath the crisis. Not ideology, but identity. It's not violence, but it's a collapse of connection. So let's talk about something that, that no one wants to talk about. And that's touch starvation or erotic deprivation or emotional invisibility. There are men, millions of men, who've gone decades without being hugged, who've never had someone hold them while they cry and fall apart, who've never been told that they're wanted, that they're desired, that they're beautiful, that they're chosen. And when that pain gets ignored, when it becomes a joke or a meme or even a punchline, something inside breaks. Not because they want sex, but because they want to be seen. They want to be held and known and cherished. This is where intimacy becomes vital. Not romantic intimacy, but human intimacy. That sacred space where we feel safe enough to let someone see us fully and to stay. But to get there, we need integrity too. Integrity means this. It means aligning our internal values with our external actions. It means saying, I will not let bitterness lead me, or I will not demand connection through coercion, or I will show up with honor even when I'm hurting. See, this isn't about earning love. It's about becoming someone that's capable of holding it. And there are a few myths. I came up with 3 myths that fuel the incel mindset and keep people stuck in these cycles of despair. The first one is, your only worth is what you can get. See, this belief teaches that desirability equals value, and it's a lie. Your worth is not conditional, it's inherent. Secondly, it says that no one wants you because you're broken. And This shame spiral blocks all healing. The truth is, you're not beyond connection. You just haven't been given tools to access it safely. And the third one I came across is you have to win to belong, as if life is a game where intimacy is a prize and where relationships are like battles that you win. But love doesn't work like that. You don't fight for love. Um, instead, you surrender to it. See, these myths, they destroy connection, and they can only be replaced by something stronger. And that's a deep understanding of who you are and who you're becoming. So here's what we know. We have a crisis of meaning, a crisis of masculinity, a crisis of connection, and the ones falling through the cracks are crying out, not just for women and not just for sex, but for worth and for visibility, for reverence, and we need to stop asking what's wrong with them, and instead we should start asking what did they need that they never received. This is where healing begins, not with shaming, but with listening, not with arguing, but with holding space. See, the bridge back, that's what I titled this series. The bridge back to us starts with integrity, where we're choosing to live in alignment with our deepest values, not our deepest wounds, where we're creating space through intimacy, where people can say intimacy and not be rejected. This bridge isn't built in a day, but it starts here with naming the loneliness, with facing the pain, and daring to believe that maybe, just maybe, belonging is still possible. That pain inside, it's not proof that you're broken. It's proof that you're still human, and that's where we're going to begin next time.